House of Kuru, Part 2, Chapter 18, The Scion of the Lion Throne. The tournament of arms did not lift Dhirtarashtra's spirit in the slightest. The sons of Pandu, the Pandavas, were clear victors in both the Battle of the Maces and the show of archery. Though Karna showed immense potential, Dhirtarashtra could not blindly trust him. The bigger problem, however, was that the people loved the Pandavas. They were adored by not just the peasants, but the royalty alike. Everywhere the Pandavas went, a group of people followed them, just to be in their presence. All this only irritated Dhirtarashtra and infuriated his firstborn son Suryodhana. However, Bhishma, Vidura and Drona were convinced that the firstborn son of Pandu was the most appropriate to ascend the lion throne, a conviction that greatly disappointed Dhirtarashtra and further aggravated Suryodhana's furor. You must make a decision on who to install as the scion of the lion throne. The people will feel safe and secure only when the dynasty is solidified, said Vidura to Dhirtarashtra, starting a conversation one morning before entering the throne room. Dhirtarashtra winced, nodded, and gave a sigh of acceptance to Vidura. It was a conversation he was dreading. The reality was that he needed his own son to ascend the lion throne. But it was common knowledge that the throne of Hastinapura belonged to Pandu, and that Dhirtarashtra was only the regent until the son of Pandu took over the throne. A truth Vidura and Bhishma hoped Dhirtarashtra would remember and adhere to. After the court proceedings were completed for the day, all three, Bhishma, Drona and Vidura, approached the emperor of Hastinapura in his bedchamber and began to compel him to start thinking on the scion of the throne. All hail, Lord of Hastinapura! I trust all is well. I came on matters of the state, your majesty. I am sure you are aware that the king cannot remain without an heir to the lion throne, said Bhishma, initiating the conversation. Dhritarashtra's respect and fear of Bhishma was enormous, and he quickly continued the conversation with reverence. Mighty Maharathi, grandsire, what you say is absolutely true. Do not feel as though I have not given it a thought, said the king, as the trio of Bhishma, Vidura and Drona nodded. Shakuni had placed a spy on the outside of Dhritarashtra's bedchamber, dressed as a guard. And the moment the trio of Bhishma, Drona and Vidura had entered the bedchamber, the spy had run off to alert Shakuni. The conversation was beginning to be won by the trio, and Dhritarashtra even began to nod at their arguments. After all, Bhima was arguably the strongest man on earth, and with Arjuna wielding the legendary weapon of Brahma, known as Brahmastra, he too was an invincible warrior. With Yudhishthira being the first son of Pandu, a master of the spear, and an erudite scholar on ethics, virtue, and statesmanship, the decision was a relatively simple one to make. I feel my son Suryodhana is the most capable person to ascend the lion throne of Hastinapura. He is a direct descendant of my seed. The people will gain faith in the royalty of the house, said Dhritarashtra. As Vidura groaned, Bhishma sighed, and Guru Drona shook his head. I am the preceptor for both the sons of Pandu and your children, Dhritarashtra, said Guru Drona. I have watched them grow from youth to young adults. Listen to a lesson I seeked from Yudhishthira and your son. I requested Yudhishthira to roam throughout the kingdom and find me anyone who is at fault. Any one person who he considered to be the most inferior, and Yudhishthira left on this mission. I then told your son Suryodhana to find anyone who is superior to him in the kingdom. Suryodhana was the first to return and informed me that everyone in the entire kingdom was inferior to him. and that he could find no one equal to him. And I dismissed him. Some time later, Yudhishthira approached me with a face full of sorrow. I asked him if he found someone who was inferior to him, and he replied that he could not. He tried to arrest a person for taking water from his neighbor's well, but it was to feed his neighbor's plants and animals. So he found fault with himself for being too quick to judge and offered himself to me as the most inferior person in the kingdom, said Guru Drona. Vidura admired the humility of the first son of Pandu, and Bhima smiled with a nod. They knew this was exactly to be expected. Your son Dhirtarashtra is not fit for ruling. This is my opinion, said Guru Drona, as both Vidura and Bhishma nodded. And Dhirtarashtra let out an irritated sigh of exasperation. Know this, the son of Pandu deserves the throne on his regal qualities, and his brothers are powerful warriors. No one would dare invade the empire with him as the scion. So do as I say and crown him as the prince, said Vidura. I often forget how desperate the chief minister of Hastinapura is to favor the sons of Pandu while neglecting your own children, your majesty, interjected Shakuni, to the tremendous surprise of everyone in the room. Shakuni, as always, was dressed in black with a thick mascara covering his eyes and a large black turban hiding his graying hair, standing just outside the king's bedchambers as he slowly limped into Dhritarashtra's room. Shakuni's arrival was a breath of fresh air for Dhritarashtra as he let out a small smile. Do you not know that Suryodhana is quite the capable warrior, with 100 brothers ready to lay their lives for him? He too is blessed with regality and royal blood, said Shakuni, as Vidura rolled his eyes and Guru Drona shook his head. Bhishma said nothing. Remember that this throne is loaned to you until the person most fit for the kingdom arrives, said Vidura, in a last-ditch attempt to salvage the argument, which seemed only to irritate Dhritarashtra even more. You will need to act in accordance with virtue. Enough! Bellowed Dhritarashtra. I am well aware of the rules of virtue, and I have no need for its constant reminder, snapped Dhritarashtra. Now, as I am very tired, I will speak on this matter tomorrow. Leave immediately, commanded Dhritarashtra, as Shakuni, Bhishma, Guru Drona, and Vidura turned away. No, not you, Shakuni. I have, some matters of state to discuss with you, said Dhritarashtra. And Shakuni gave a small smirk as he turned towards the king once more. As soon as the others left, Dhritarashtra let out a loud moan and said, Shakuni, it looks like our time has finally come. We must crown Yudhishthira as crown prince. The people want it, Bhishma wants it, Guru Drona wants it, and so does Vidura. And once he is crowned, he will look for ways to dethrone me. Why, oh why does calamity keep chasing me? Why does everyone want him to ascend the lion? But what do you want, your majesty? Interrupted Shakuni. And Dhritarashtra moaned once more and said, Oh, what use is what I want? I am the king and emperor of Hastinapura. What you want is the law, said Shakuni. Yes, yes, but you saw how the people fawn over the sons of Pandu, and how the children of Pandu have stolen the hearts of Bhishma, Vidura, and even Guru Drona. Making my son Suryodhana crown prince will be met with strife, rioting, and what if Bhima decides to attack us all? Asked Dhritarashtra. What you say is true, your majesty. This is a very delicate situation. If we declare Suryodhana as crown prince, that too in an assembly hall full of witnesses of a tournament of arms, we will stoke a potent fire, one that could consume us. That man Bhima is no ordinary warrior, said Shakuni, with his eyebrows deeply furrowed, which made Dhritarashtra even more uncomfortable and squirmed in his royal chair. I am terrified of that Bhima, Shakuni. He will certainly slay my children. What shall we do, Shakuni? What can be done to ensure that my son ascends the throne after me? pestered Dhirtarashtra, and Shakuni now smiled widely. "Your Majesty, do you trust me?" he asked, and Dhirtarashtra nodded. Once more did Shakuni ask, "Do you trust me completely?" "I completely trust you, Shakuni. You and you alone are the reason I am on this lion throne today. Therefore, you may rest assured, the Emperor of Hastinapura has full faith on the son of Suvala, the Prince of Gandhara," assured Dhritarashtra, and Shakuni's smile was now ear to ear on his face. "Then crown Yudhishthira as Crown Prince of Hastinapura and Scion of the Empire," said Shakuni, as Dhritarashtra let out a loud gasp and roared, "What? Crown the son of your trust is all I need, your Majesty. I promise you, Suyodhana will be made Scion. But you need to trust me," insisted Shakuni, as Dhritarashtra protested. What about my son? He will never allow this. He will take his mace to the throne room and fight with everyone. There will be a war within the palace walls. The children of Pandu will resist and leave your son to me, your Majesty. I will convince him. I will take care of everything. Call an assembly of all the vassal kings tomorrow, and we will debate the scion of the lion throne. Vidura will fervently support the Pandavas, while I pretend to support your son. And finally, you anoint Pandu as firstborn. That way the people will love you, and the sons of Pandu will trust you. Do as I say, and your son will ascend the lion throne of Hastinapura," assured Shakuni, as Dhritarashtra smiled. "What would I do without you, Shakuni? Where would I be?" asked Dhritarashtra, as Shakuni smiled and said, "Your Majesty, Pandu will be ruling, and his son would have certainly ascended the throne as Scion, as you would have been a forgotten king," said Shakuni, as Dhritarashtra winced and embraced the son of Suvala. "I trust you completely. I will crown Yudhishthira as the Scion of the lion throne, just like you asked me to." So does he? Does he, Guru Vaishampayana? Does he, Dhritarashtra, crown my great-grand-uncle Yudhishthira as the crown prince? Tell me, I wish to know. "All in good time, dear king, all in good time," said the Guru Vaishampayana to a very eager Janamejaya.